Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back or welcome to my podcast, Rewire to Inspire. I'm a little giddy because I just recorded an episode that was honestly kind of intense, but in the best way. And I wish that I could apologize, but this episode is probably going to be even more intense. And I wanted to title this episode Shit That I'm Sick Of. But I know that I couldn't do that. So instead, for today, we're just going to talk about some things that I am sick of, and it is shit that I'm sick of. But I'm talking about these things, and I'm doing this episode because there's just so many things that I'm personally fed up with, and I know that you probably are too. And as much as I do not have the answers to these things that I'm fed up with, or have a resolution of what this means moving forward, these are just things that keep me up at night and bring me frustration. And I'm like, what better way to deal with this and to cope with this than to come on my podcast and to talk about it with people that I don't even know are listening. And so if you're tuning in for the first time, welcome. I'm so glad this is the first episode you've decided to listen to. If you're tuning back in, this is probably going to be a little bit of a different episode than usual. But if you listen to Tuesday's episode, you know that is where we're pivoting to on this podcast platform. I've kind of built and structured myself around somebody who's going to talk about specific things, right? Mental health, rewiring the brain, self-love, trauma. And as much as, yes, I'm still going to talk about those things, and those things are my ride or die passions. They are the things that light me up, the things that I adore talking about sincerely. I want to pivot what that looks like and shift what that looks like. And dare I say, because I know if I say something that I have to do it, I really want to start writing blogs. And by that I mean I'm going to start writing blogs. I had a woman tell me the other day, randomly out of the blue, you need to write your book. Which is funny because at one point I was writing a book and I had started, and then I just kind of put it down. I never picked it back up, and I put it down because it was hard and it was challenging, but I know that there's a part of me that is supposed to write a book and is supposed to publish things in that form. And so I'm going to start with writing blogs and kind of see what that leads to, because everything is a part of, a piece of the puzzle and is a 1% and does lead towards something. But all this to say that things are going to be shifting, and I encourage you to just, ask for yourself even that question. Is there anything that's like challenging and hard, but I know is meant for me? I do know that I'm supposed to do. Because just because things are hard, it doesn't mean that we're not supposed to do them. There's days when I'm like, the last thing I want to go do is lift weights, but I always feel better, and I always thank myself for doing it. And I know the gym is one of the most commonly used analogy in that regard, but maybe it is the gym for you. Or maybe there's something in your life. Maybe you want to go back to school, but you're like, I don't know how I'm going to do that. It's not supposed to be easy. Nothing great in life comes easy. And that is the biggest lie that we are given in life. And that is the first thing that I'm sick of, is us painting pictures in our life that things are just supposed to be easy. And that we are going to be handed things on a silver platter and just, here you go. Here's your success. Because the people that are teaching us about success are the ones that were born into it, were the 1% of the 1% of overnight success, inherited that money, whatever it is, and they are trying to tell everyday people the 5 ways to get rich, become a millionaire in a week, 5-minute abs, like just all this shit that's not true. And all it does is give us false hope. It paints a false picture and narrative of what success looks like, and it doesn't allow us to form that part of our brain that works hard, works consistently, stays on top of things. We are wired as humans to take the easy road, to take the easy path, the pleasure road. And that often leaves us feeling really defeated when things are challenging. When things don't just come naturally, it's because they're not supposed to. And if there's anything in your life that you feel is just supposed to be easy, or you're not as far along as you're supposed to be yet, even this podcast for me, it's like, it's a little hard on my heart sometimes when I look at my numbers versus the amount of work and consistency that I've put in. But I'm like, you never know when that turning point is going to come. You never know. But if you give up, you will never know. But that is definitely something that I'm sick of, is just seeing these book titles and seeing these articles and things that are like all the easy ways to be successful and in shape and a happy person and whatever. It's like, there's no easy fix to any of those things. What we need is to be told the truth, that it's gonna take hard work. It's gonna take consistency. It's not going to be easy. It's gonna be challenging. And then when we work hard and we get a result, it feels so much better than when something's just given to you, because you earned it, you worked towards it, you proved it to yourself. So that is the first thing that I personally am sick of. Okay, number 2, ready? This one is around mental health, but I'm sick of the shame that is attached to taking a mental health day. If I'm taking a sick day for my mental health, and I am going to be bold in saying that they are the same thing, a sick day can also be because mentally you are feeling ill. And I decide that I want to go to the mall. I want to go shopping. I want to go to the spa. There should be zero shame attached to that. Now, if you are just taking off a whole whack of time just because you feel like you can, and you're actually like, there is a line to ride with this particular thing. But I'm sick of the shame that's attached to what comes with that. Just because I'm taking a mental health day does not mean that I should stay home and sit on my couch. In fact, it should be encouraged to do the opposite. And thankfully, I do work in a space that is very open to your mental health and in doing what's best for you. But definitely in the past, this was not the case. A lot of people that I know, this is not the case. If you were to go to the mall, for example, on a mental health day, you'd probably get called in for question, right? To be like, why? I thought you were sick. And I'm so sick of our society thinking that mental health, that we can't just take sick days for our mental health. To take time, maybe I had a really hard weekend, and I strongly considered taking today off because I just needed that mental break. I just needed more time to just process. But I was like, no, like I'm just gonna power through. But I'd be lying if I said that it wasn't because a part of me felt really guilty for that. And like I shouldn't take time off for that. And that's not my employer's fault that I had a hard weekend. But this just the shame and stigma that surrounds taking time for you and your mental health really, really annoys me. I had a coworker who told me one time in the past that she had called in that she needed a mental health day and was told, well, why don't you go to therapy? It's like, oh my God, like the projection was just so hard to listen to, especially at that time. I worked in a mental health agency, and it's just like, are you serious? Like, we need to normalize that it's okay to take time if you're struggling mentally. And in fact, you are not going to show up to the best of your ability at your job if you are struggling with life, and that's okay. Life is also about more than just working. Okay? I don't plan on living my whole life just to work and to pay the bills. I refuse to do it. Yes, I love what I do and I'm passionate about it and I'm grateful that I have such a good job, but I don't plan on working until I'm 65, 70, 50 is it for me, baby. You know, like that's it. And I plan on working towards that now to make that happen. And I realize I'm going on a tangent further than what I meant, which again, I kind of prefaced when I opened. I don't know where I'm going with all this, but I'm sick of the shame that's attached to what taking a mental health day means. A mental health day is something you are entitled to and something that you deserve to take guilt-free. If you just need a day because you need a day, cool. I hope you do whatever the hell you want. I hope you make cookies and go to the mall and spoil yourself. Okay? That's number 2. I'm very sassy today. Okay, number 3. Oh my God. I'm so sick of people projecting their negativity onto other people. Just because you're in a shit mood doesn't mean you get to dump that onto the person beside you. I was at the grocery store yesterday, and the cashier was like very clearly having a hard day, which is fine. It's okay you don't have to be like, hello, how are you, all the time. It's okay to be down in the dumps and like feeling like a sack of potatoes sometimes. That's cool. That's fine. But when people project their anger onto other people, it just, it irks me so bad. It bothers me so bad. We are responsible for our mood. We are responsible for looking after how we're feeling. We have a responsibility as human beings, as adults, to be able to tend to how we're feeling. And if you are in a headspace or a mood where you are going to boil over onto somebody else, I encourage you to just ask yourself if you think that that's okay. And I get that we all have different thresholds of things that we can handle, but it is never an excuse to lash out at somebody who has done nothing to you because you are feeling some type of way. And I used to be like this in the past when I had zero ability to control my emotions, to regulate my nervous system, to come back to my window of tolerance. You betcha I was blowing up at my partner or whoever it is that was upsetting me. Absolutely. But that's not okay. And I know that that's not okay. And that's taken a lot of therapy and patience and grounding and healing and working with myself and being patient with myself. But I'm just so tired of people also projecting their stuff onto me, right? It hurts and it sucks and it's kind of weird in a way because you're like, whoa, like you don't expect it, but there's definitely people that don't think that their emotions have any effect on people, and they think that it's just okay to lash out and to be ignorant and rude, and it's not okay, right? I always say how we're feeling and our trauma is an explanation, not an excuse. Maybe you had a really hard day, maybe you have a lot going on, maybe you don't have any capacity, but it's still not okay and never okay to take that out on somebody else. It's okay to, and in those moments, and I know that this takes time, and why I believe therapy is so important, is so we can work through, well, how do we resolve that? How can we get that out in a healthy way? But that's definitely something that I'm sick of, is people feeling like it's okay to take out their negative emotions and feelings onto me, because it's not okay, and we don't deserve that. And if you are dealing with that on a regular basis, you don't deserve that, and that's not okay. Okay, where are we at? Number 4. These are so all over the place. I'm sick of big box stores and companies trying to tell society what is healthy and what is in and what is societally acceptable and trendy and just like, I hate it so much. Sizes of clothes being like, well, these are only sizes we carry in store. If you need a different size, we have that online. It's like, okay, so you're basically saying I can't come to your store because I don't fit into what you view as acceptable to have. Or you go to the grocery store and you see all this labeling of like healthy, and they have it packaged all trendy and cute and whatever, and they charge like $30 for it. And it's just like, frig you. Like, I'm just so tired of the projection of all this stuff in our face to tell us what we should look like, what we should eat, what we should consume, so that we fit into these boxes. And here's the thing, these stores, I say this with love, they don't give a shit about us. They don't care. They care about a profit and and in growing, right? And they're what's the word I'm looking for? How we perceive them. Right? We want to feel trendy, and so we buy certain things. But I'm so sick of us feeling like if we don't buy those things or don't partake in those things, we are not accepted. We are not good enough. And I'm sick of stores and a capitalistic approach to society of being like, well, as long as we're getting richer, we don't actually care about the impact that this has on people. The segregation that has exponentially grown over the last 10 years, right? There's no middle class anymore. It's just like the ins and the not ins. And it's like, it just bothers me so much. And I don't even have the words to articulate exactly what it is that I mean, but I'm just sick of these big multi-billion industries and companies trying to tell your everyday folks what it is that they should wear, what it should look like, what they should eat, what they consume, what is healthy. And it's just like, stop. Like, stop. I was talking with my partner this morning and I'm like, I just want to grow a little community, and we live in the woods and we grow our own foods and we raise our babies together and we work on our education system together and we normalize, proper health and all these things. Because I'm just sick of this mainstream stuff that is just not good for anybody's mental health. And I'm sorry if you hear little scratchy scratches outside the door. My cat is such an intuitive little soul, if you can hear. And she can always tell when my energy is like heightened or decreased, and she just needs to be with me. Normally, if I was just regularly talking, I guarantee you she wouldn't be at the door. But because I'm kind of feeling high energy like this, she's like, Mom, let me in because I need to make sure you're okay. And I am okay. I'm just really frustrated and I need to talk about these things, because if you can relate to any of these, I hope you also know you're not alone, and I get it. I get it sincerely. Okay, last but not least, phones. I know. I love my phone too. But I'm sick of the disconnect of our phones. So, okay, I'm not gonna lie. I've been watching Love is Blind. Trying to keep up a little bit in my spare time when I need to turn my brain off. And I'm definitely way behind because I usually can only get an episode in every now and again. But they're at the part of the show, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, trust me, don't worry about it. But they're at the part of the show where they are living together for the first time. And there's this one couple, and the man is just on his phone, and these people have known each other at this point for like 5 days, okay? And she's talking and he's just like on his phone. And she's even made like a couple comments like, are you almost done what you're doing? Like, oh, you're pretty busy, like trying to connect with this human. But she can't because he's so caught up in this thing in front of him. And it's just such a turn off and an ick for me. It's like if I'm talking to somebody and they're on their phone, and yes, there's a time and a place, and like, don't get me wrong, I'm not perfect either, and there's times that I'm on my phone when I shouldn't be. But it's just like, nothing needs you that bad. Be where you are. Be where you are. Be present where you are. And yes, sometimes you're with people and I'll get an email from work and I'm like, I need to answer this, or like you're on a meeting and you get an important phone call. Like, yes, I get it. There's responsibilities and things that we have to do. But what pissed me off about that situation is this is a new person that you were engaged to, that you were supposed to be in love with, and you can't even give them your time. What is it that's so important in that moment that you can't give them your time? That's what bothers me about society nowadays. You look around and all you see is everybody on their phone. People are at a concert and they're on their phone. We went to see a Little Mermaid production, me and my partner, like 2 weeks ago, and this girl was on her phone the whole time. And it's just like, oh my God, be here. There is literally all these talented human beings performing an incredible production in front of you, and you're on your damn phone. It almost makes me emotional because it makes me so frustrated when I also see kids trying to get their parents' attention and they're so deep in their phone. If you're watching video, you can see in my eyes, it actually makes me emotional because we are so disconnected. And that's the one way that we've learned to be connected. The pandemic had shown our brain that is the only way that we can connect with each other. But like, look around. The pandemic is not here anymore. We can connect with each other, but because we've become so accustomed to connecting this way, we've forgotten how to connect with each other. I would be the first one to put my hand up to say I have intense social anxiety. But I also know that I want to work on that and I want to become better at it because I never used to be like that. I used to be so outgoing and so bubbly and so excited to be around people, but because technology has gotten so far in the way and has become such a crutch, it's become hard and challenging. And so I'm also being patient with myself. But when I see these youth disconnected from their bodies and from society at like 11 years old, it's just like, whoa, what have we done? What have we done? And it's no doubt when we are shoving iPads in kids' faces in the first months of their lives. It's just like, what are we doing? We are meant to connect with each other, not through a screen, with each other. I know, crazy. So that's the last thing, and that's a big one, and that's one that I don't have a solution to, other than I know that when I'm with people, I'm trying very diligently to be present with them, because the only place that needs my attention in that moment is that person, that soul, that stranger, that whatever that's in front of me. They are the most important thing in that moment. And I know circumstantial things come up and it's okay, and our phones are a great thing. There's a lot of positives to them. But in order for us to work towards going backwards in some way, we need to each play a role in this. And we each have a responsibility to try our best to connect with each other. So I know that was a lot of emotions with this, but those are the 5 things that I'm kind of just sick of. And I wanted to just talk about and to normalize that I'm sick of these things, because I'm sure at least one of those you're like, you know what? I'm kind of sick of that too. And it's like, we all think the responsibility lies external to us. Like, I could never make a difference. Well, I could never change that. And it's like, if every single one of us carries that mentality, then yes, that is going to stay true. But if one conversation leads to another person aligning and agreeing, and you know, that's when momentum can start. And that's when we as a society can start to collectively put our hearts together and bring awareness to these things. And so I feel like I had a part in sharing these things. So I apologize for my intenseness and my emotions. I'm just feeling a lot, and I wanted to share that with you all, so you also know that you are not alone in this crazy world and in these crazy times. But it's gonna be okay, and we're gonna get there. I do have faith. I have so much faith, and that is what I lean on the days that I'm feeling frustration. So thank you guys for tuning in. Again, if this is your first time tuning in, thank you. I'm sorry if I scared you. I promise that this is a safe platform to be in, a place where I just like to be real and vulnerable and not bullshit, and just talk about the stuff that we all need to talk about and normalize it. So thank you guys so much for tuning into this week's episodes of Rewire to Inspire. I am so excited to chat with you all on Tuesday. Bye, you guys.